Pass me the lampshade, I'm drunk again. Blew my drug money on a quart of gin. Well, I am a cultured man with tastes discriminating, but I'll settle for a tall glass of anything. Fell in love with love and death and darkness. If I'm a bad drunk, well, it's not for lack of practice. This is no modern romance. 'Cause I'm going home in a fucking ambulance. Well, am I the only one drinking tonight?
So, it finally happened. Possibly might have a job lockdown. Got like a surprised phone call interview this afternoon. Just caught me off guard when you're you're sleeping in till around till around 11 a.m. Stuffing your face with possible, Captain Crunch and whatever crumbs are left over bed. But it's funny. I kind of welcomed it in a way. I mean, years ago I probably would have been more nervous. I'm really now to the point where I just don't like give a shit, and not like completely. Obviously, I do, but I mean, I really was trying to understand what this. It was a woman. This, and I think she was part of a. Like an agency, another like staff hiring service. So many of those have been in my past. It's like a collection of badges that and lanyards that they call them lanyards. I call them nooses, but it's it's not a contest. But the funny thing was like just the feeling of she's got a job and I've possibly have a job, and that is really the pretentiousness you have to portray in these like phone calls is pretty great. She kept like after every sentence like, so let me ask you a little about yourself, and then she kept saying like a little too much. And I get it. She's supposed to be, um, it's like that secretary from Office Space, where in the beginning of the movie where Ron Livingston's character, Peter, goes in the cubicle. It's like how long date's getting in, just hears in the background the secretary, "Da-da-da-da, accounting speaking, just a moment. Da-da-da-da, accounting speaking, just a moment." It was like literally like that and I was like, yeah, so yeah, I did work for one company for a while for 12 years, and that's really great. Like, not even letting me finish my sentence. So I'm not like trying to, she's doing her job. I get it, but it really is, I get it now. She's trying to plug a position, and it didn't sound too bad. It's, but like she kept, the one thing is like, do you have an idea of like, do you want to have like a future with this company? I'll send you a video of what it's like. And it's in like dental supplies. I mean, I don't know how excited, and like, look, I get it. She's just trying to do her job and be trying to get me excited about it. But like, I'm a grown ass man. This woman, and she sounded like a grown woman over the phone. I didn't see, her name's Victoria. Probably not going to hurt to say that name, but like it's one of those V names, Veronica, Vanessa, pretentious. This is the kind of woman that would wear like a white fur coat back in the 80s, with like lifestyles, the rich and famous, Beverly Hills, like the old school money, like back when things were cool and Reagan was running the country and everything was an illusion. It all went to shit, but it looked fun. Yeah. So it just had that kind of like vibe. Like her attitude of the phone matched her name, if that makes any sense at all. So, um, but yeah, I mean, the hours are great, like 7 a.m. to like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. She said, and the pay is better. It's closer to where I live. Um, Anything would beat the you know uh concentration camp Holocaust that was my previous company. Again, I can't won't say names. That's just you're asking for a disaster there. But yeah, it uh, but yeah, it seems pretty enticing. It's just but there is a feeling of I used to think to myself, well, what am I going to wear? What am I going to like? I'm not going to be an asshole. If I go over there, I'm going to be nice, very respectful. But if I see something if I see the atmosphere, I'm going to look at the faces of the people that work there. That's very fucking key. All right. I wish some of the stuff over there, like animals in the forest, they smell the forest fire before it happens, or like they start barking or whatever before the earthquake, like a minute before, and then everything goes to shit. Nobody knows what happened, like every fucking Hollywood movie. I saw that reaction on some faces of the other place I worked at, where they brought, I call them tour groups. Like over here we have packaging on this, and like I could see something like it was always the white people, especially the white kids, like, 21, 22. There's a look on their face like, yeah, I'm not like gonna put up with this, and I'm gonna leave. And I respect it. I really do. Everything's about perception, and you know, I wish I had the balls to have that kind of, just I think when you're younger, you can get away with just, being more of an asshole. A lot more is on the line when you get older, and it just is what it is. But, if I was 21, just did these kind of stupid jobs, I would have just like, not been a dick, but just like, hey, where did Mike go? Like, I don't know, just get in my car and just drive off. And like, if the agency calls me, that's fine. If not, that's fine. Like, don't fucking care. Just get in my car and just drive east as far as I can get, just to, till I hit, until it runs out of gas. But I didn't, that's, it is what it is. But, you know, it really is about, proper work ethic can get you so far. And if you don't have an idea of where you want to be, you just follow the rules. And I've always kind of been that way, but I've always followed the rules to the point where of just like being courteous, being nice, and hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. I don't really mean it, but I'm doing it for you. For years, just being on time and doing that for years. I felt, and it's gotten me nowhere. Being nice to people and helping them out, if anything, could get you killed. I mean, just last week I heard a story about some guy on I-5 who helped somebody to change out a tire, pull the side of the road. And, it was dusk time, around nighttime, and just out of nowhere, semi truck just wiped they're staying now, you know, off mile marker 5. It's just you know, that's sad. I don't want to be that. I don't want to die helping people. Not like that. That's just being a sucker, no? I know this seems a little rough, but anyways, that's like, look, it was like an formal interview. Informal interview. It was like over the phone, caught me off guard. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Just checking it out. The fact that it's closer to where I live compared to the half hour drudgery of I mean, it's amazing when you get older, like the what happiness is to you, like just a little bit. Like you might get a hard on if you get a dental appointment within the month that you place it, and not like, in July. That's really what it's come down to. I've said it before, like, for years I wanted to have, a three-way with two hot looking girls. That's the difference. Okay. Girls who have actual necks, that I always wanted to have that, but now I would love to have a house with like a front property, like a yard, that really does, get my juices flowing and get my nipples hard. And it truly, that and smelling the odor of, the scent of, Chang's Mongolian Grill as I drive by it. It's not really good, that Asian food, but it's good enough, right? I mean, sometimes even crappy junk food can be. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I will soon be a. I don't know. The fact that I got like an interview is pretty good after about a month of being unemployed is it's a good sign, isn't it? I can't tell. It's nothing to bark. The woman seemed more more enthused than I am. So I don't know if that's a sign of like they really need somebody to plug the gaps, or that's just her personality. It's always a guessing game. The whole everything in life's a goddamn horror movie. Just let's pack up and go to the cabin in the woods, or 4x4, and like stop by to get gas. Some old man in overalls comes out and says, "I want to go up that hill if I was you. It's haunted." It just ends up with everybody getting slashed and just poked and prodded. And um yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I got to be realistic about it. I mean, maybe they have like a great coffee machine, and maybe they have an hour lunch instead of half-hour lunch. Jesus Christ. This is why you guys got to like aim for a career. This is the reason why your mom and dads tell you to like stay in school, get college, get a career, get something that requires like you'll be paid salary. It's not about the money, it's about the status, because there's more flexibility. I mean, do I really have to point out the obvious? All right. I mean, for God's sakes, the other day I had gummy bears for breakfast. I mean, this is the end of a guy that worked in, pallet jacks have been my uh a bit of part of my life so much, just yeah, I don't know, so much cardboard and styrofoam. I'm pretty much sure I've inhaled so many toxins that it's not even COVID. It's lifestyle. It's just catching up. I think you guys have passions out there for hobbies and stuff, and my dream, I think, for like mine was going to be filmmaking. That was kind of my you know ultimate passion in the dream job, right? Everybody's got one. And moving on to the just lifetime aware. It doesn't have to be just about blue collar. Everybody's look. A lot of people who go to college or whatever, they do it because their moms and dads put them into that mindset of preparing or whatever. And look, it's part of being human, though. You should never let that get away from you, even if it's. I think it's a lot harder if you have a family. If you have kids, I think it's a little more easy, tinker in the garage or whatever. But take it to kind of transform into maybe like a possible career. Although these days anything's really kind of possible. I even in the bad way or good way. I mean, I just learned about this AI stuff is really coming into itself with these like deep fakes. And I'm just looking at like the possibility of uh actors no longer being needed for a lot of reasons. Although the CGI they use in movies these days are horrible. But yeah, but that was my my most inspirational film I can remember, is that really woke me up and kind of grew me up. um uh and let me know what yours were, the ones that like really were iconic for you, kind of like something that stood out, like a moment in a movie or a movie itself that just like really represented something to you. I remember when I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater, it just came out of like, post puberty. Um, I don't think I've talked about this before, but um, I just remember like that year was like Forrest Gump had come out, and uh, I think I saw the Shawshank Redemption. I saw later, um, uh, at home, but yeah, when I saw Forrest Gump, I was like, oh wow, this is so epic and just it's amazing, and the explosions, it's a light, everybody's the most America's most lovable retard. Everybody's falling in love with Tom Hanks in this role and all this shit. And then I saw Pulp Fiction, and I remember just the feeling of how my mind was blown away in so many ways. And one, if you haven't seen the movie by now, you know, I, whatever, you're done as far as I'm concerned. But just like it was non-linear, the storytelling, just the actors. I saw John Travolta come out of retirement supposedly, and in the news they were talking about like, oh well, he did Saturday Night Fever or Look Who's Talking, and I was just like, well, whatever. This is in this moment right now. He is, he's Vincent, Vega, and just the dialogue. These guys were talking so cool. It was they're not real. They're hitmen, but they made me believe it. I mean, their job was to. I mean, and they acted like they were on a job too. It's obviously not an obvious job as far as like what I'm doing, like 9 to 5 or whatever. But like they're hitmen, right? But they acted like, oh, this is just this is my Monday through Friday situation. But the way they were talking, I never heard anything like that before, and I just remember just thinking about, I was getting into high school, and just thinking about everything that I had grown up with as a kid went out the window. Anything with like Steven Spielberg film related, Indiana Jones or E.T. or Star Wars with Lucas and all that shit. And I just remember thinking to myself, oh my God, yeah, it's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to move on. And it's wrong to say this, but these guys who are, shooting up heroin and, executing people for on a contract, and they were kind of like my mentors in a way. And then of course I saw, when I got into high school, I hung out with the nerds over the AV team, and we were talking about this. Like, oh, have you seen Reservoir Dogs? I'm like, Reservoir Dogs? Like, no, what's that? He's like, oh, that's Tarantino's first movie. I'm like, oh, it's just as good as this? Oh yeah, I'm like, even better. And like, I remember like that day I had to go to like Blockbuster Video, and um, you know, I went to go check it out, but so did like 20 other people. There was like a waiting list. It was fucking hilarious, but it just reminded me, it just my taste had just went from you know Pop Tarts and just sweet to like adult stuff. Like maybe I'll try um foie gras or whatever. And things that should not be, this, oh, that shouldn't be like when you're a kid, like, oh, it's gross. I don't like liver and onions. But like, oh, if it's cooked in wine and it's done by a chef or whatever, just like trying to get away from like, dino nuggets and whatever, just trying to grow the fuck up. And I just remember like, first of all, these hitmen were really well dressed, but that's not the point. The point is like, just in general, my outlook on cinema and my taste of like what I wanted to write was completely different. I never looked at the other filmmakers I've seen before in the same light. And Tarantino keeps talking about how he's going to finish this his 10th movie after doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And God, I admire and hate him for it at the same time. Like, I get what he's talking about. There are some filmmakers out there I see that should have retired a long time ago. And, he talks about how some of the people he looked up to, um, were kind of like, towards the end of their career, their best work was not in them. And I see what he's saying. And there's a lot of admiration towards that, but it's I look at that guy's career as kind of like, again, it's like every movie he's done, I just I've loved. I really have. Even movies that like I didn't like at the time, I think um, I think mostly be a theme today for today's podcast is to be like cinema, but and how it's really affected you. But like I remember watching Jackie Brown when I was in my late teens, and I hated it. This is like boring. Samuel Jackson. This. Why is this boring to me? I'm not getting along with this. What's going on? And then I get older. I get some experience. I've had my heart torn apart. I've had just different kinds of like relationship situations, and then I went back, I want to say almost 10 years later, and watched Jackie Brown again, and it was like, oh my god, I'm a moron. This is like the best love story I've ever seen in my life. There's this Robert Forster, the Bales Bonds guy, and Pam Grier plays this flight attendant who's also kind of working for doing some drug muling possibly on the side for or just doing illegal act. That's right, drugs are planted on her, but like doing it for Samuel L. Jackson's character, which I'm sorry, the name of his character escapes me at the moment. But yeah, Robert De Niro has a cameo. This is at a time when Tarantino's kind of in his prime, as far as like wanted to be a filmmaker to work with. And yeah, that movie was just so I recently watched it again about like 6 months ago, and the soundtrack, just the you know the time needed to make a connection with the audience, the this series of moments where there's no dialogue spoken. You're just looking at like you know Forrester's face, the Bales Bondsman's guy, Max Cherry, right, and looking at Pam Grier and just admiring her, and just they're both these like older people who are just kind of worn down in life. They should be retired, but for some reason they have their own worlds, and they both help each other out. And it's just, yeah, you got to see the movie. But just another one of those films that I just kind of I look for inspiration as far as just tone, for whenever I want to do stuff down the road, you know filmmaking of my own, which I went to school for it. I did some video production certification program. It doesn't shot on fucking mini DV, which that's like, for to give people a little nerdy background. Mini DV was like the Canon XL1 was a camera I used. They shot it like a digital tape, and when I was younger, I thought, oh, this could be the new technology. This is going to be the new thing, and it wasn't the new thing. It just still looked like video. It looked like and the only good thing video is for is uh the nightly news and porn. That's all it's there just to look good. In fact, speaking of porn, back in the day, I remember those stupid 1-800 numbers for a DVD called Girls Gone Wild. Some of you might be old enough to remember that, where it's just basically people pitched in money to like send away for a DVD to like watch girls get naked. It gets, it's like, to get it mailed to you, and it was like softcore porn, but like I'll never forget, like there's like behind the scenes footage, and I'll see one guy using a camera because there's two cameras, and I'll see one guy like shooting these girls, like I don't know, wrestling with each other in like a kiddie pool of jello. And I see the camera, I was like, oh my god, that's a Canon XL. That's the same camera I used in school. Jeez, it just whatever. But yeah, that was just kind of like one of those moments of realization that I was training on stuff that was just kind of useless. But that was way before the DSLR stuff came out, the sexy stuff. But yeah, it's not like movies are today, where everybody can make one. But the greats out there, I mean, you guys have a great, like, one that really touched you. Tell me about it. Put in the comments maybe. So yeah, I mean, you have these movies out right now, with the Marvel characters and all this shit. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't know if it's, I'm getting older and I get that too, but like these movies, I think Martin Scorsese was right, about this whole thing. Like, this is not cinema. Uh, we don't know what it looks like it's filmed, but it's not. You know, I mean, just roll with me on this, okay? The other day, oh, more than another day, it was whoever I was talking to about this. I can't remember, but I asked them when they saw the last, like the Avengers movie, and they said to me, "Oh, you mean Endgame?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what that means, but I guess it's the latest one." No, but I said the Avengers, like the very first one. That was 2012. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, well, I don't know." I was like, "Yeah, I can tell you when I watched it last. It was 2012." And that was it. Like, I got my fill out of that, and it was okay. I'm not really, into films that these kind of movies at all, but it was kind of funny. The comedy in that movie kind of makes you care about the characters, and it was fun to watch. Most of the comedy, I really don't give a shit about a guy um, flying around with superpowers to do, because I'm a grown ass man, but like, whatever. And I got into it, but you think about the actors in that movie, and I just tried to like break it down, and you have Samuel L. Jackson, who was in Pulp Fiction, I think nominated for an Academy Award in that film, and probably some others. Um, so and he plays what? And he plays the guy with the eye patch and the black coat, Major something, Major Steel. I don't know. Um, you have Robert Downey Jr., who, for you younger set out there who don't know who that is, like at one point he was a pretty accomplished actor. He played Chaplin, and you know, um, and now he plays just a guy that wears steel and spandex. Captain Iron, or no, Iron Man. Sorry, yeah, um, yeah. So like the talent's there. Okay, yeah. You have accomplished actors, and you have a budget. I mean, it's really just a story, isn't it? That's the part that I don't. Um, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just it's all predictable in the end. I mean, when they said like, I don't know what this was, just years ago when they said, "Oh, they're going to make it's going to be a trilogy of Thor movies. There's going to be a trilogy of that." I'm like, a trilogy. So the studio announced that, right? Yeah. So what's going to happen. Your main guy is going to live in those three movies, or whatever. So it's predictable. You're going to know the ending already when they announce that. It just I guess this is just one of those things where I'm just getting older now, and I mean, I it is. I mean, even back then, I was like, kind of a nerd for just different kind of movies. That's why Train Spotting was like a fucked up movie about these Scottish, heroin addicts who, want to better their lives, but newsflash, they're in Scotland, and like the shittiest part, and that movie just. I'll tell you one thing, man. They should play that movie in school, like grade schools. There's nothing like glorifying drug use in that movie. I gotta tell you, man. Seriously, um, yeah, especially the baby and the hallucination scene where uh, McGregor is underneath the bed sheets and he's just freaking out, and the baby on the ceiling scene. Yeah, that fucking. I had nightmares for a while of that. Not like like freakish wake up sweaty, but like it fucked with my head for a while. But um, yeah, those were good times back then. God, I am that guy now. But prove me wrong. I really don't see much shit coming out in the filmmaking industry that just everything's like just donated and shoveled to the summertime box office, and they're expecting to you know show. I don't know what it's some other comic book movie or whatever. Names I don't even. Ant-Man is coming out again. I have no idea. Whatever. I mean, a lot of this has to do with China. and foreign markets, you got to really put that in perspective now because nobody goes to the theater anymore, which I don't either. I can't blame anybody. It's just you're paying a lot of money on the hope that you won't be next to an asshole that is going to be on the phone or just talking every 5 minutes. I've been lucky that hasn't really happened to me as much. I think the really big movie I saw was 1917's a World War I movie. Um, yeah, so no, yeah. Maybe that says something about like the crowd that goes to see movies. If I went to go see like um a Marvel film, I wonder if I could actually like enjoy it without being annoyed, by just people sitting around. So yeah, of course you want to be isolated and watch films now by yourself. So, but yeah, I know like in reality, these are big time studios and um they got to make their nut. They got to really they're investing so much. They have to have the ROI, return on investment, and I get it. Um, it's sad that it has to be that way, but like in China too, those guys are like coincidentally it's racist. Like I'd heard somewhere like for the Star Wars films, the Boyega, the guy that plays is it Finn or whatever? I don't know. But he's an African British man, um, who plays the main character, and I hear like for like the state like outside the posters and the standees outside of like a movie theater you go into over in China, they didn't have his likeness in the poster or whatever, which is like because they're not a fan, I guess, of people of color. I don't know, but like that's a legit thing. I think you can look that up. I'm pretty sure I heard that right. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's everybody's got to sell out, and it's the way it goes. But those are the ones. That's your breadbasket right there. Those are the movies right there that make make the cut. Nobody's gonna go see a movie about a little boy and his dog. And I'm not even talking about that shit, but I mean, I saw a movie called the Banshees of Inisherin or what, I don't know, whatever that it's movie out of Ireland. I saw like back in November, um, with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson about these two Irish guys, friends, and it takes place in like the 1920s, like a really small bumfuck nowhere island off of Ireland back then, and it's great. I mean, the setting is just kind of great because it just the whole movie just starts off with literally this older man, his friend, the Brendan Gleeson's character, and Colin Farrell's character. They're these guys who have lived each other next to each other like years, like decades. Um, and one day they go to the pub because there's really nothing else to do. We're talking like a population of maybe like 9 people, it feels like, and there's really nothing going on in this little village. And one day, Brendan Gleeson's character just he's in the bar drinking, and Colin Farrell's character walks in the door, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll take a pint, of ale, whatever. And wants to talk to him. Then Brendan Gleeson takes a drink and just stops and he looks over and he's like, hey, yeah, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And he's like, what? Yeah, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And just for like no context or nothing. And that's from there, that's all you have. And you build the movie from there. Like, to me, that's interesting. That's more fascinating to me than something I already know that's going to end with, a big explosion or, some guy flying off wearing women's panties or boots or whatever. You know what I mean? Just, um, yeah. Here's what happened. They took a franchise of comic books, little, just like flashcards, basically, with some cool drawings and some cool colors and made some toys. You took a thing that was supposed to be made for kids and you blew it up into something that's just, you know, you turn it into a lifestyle. It it just boggles my mind. I have to, you know, I've said this before, and I keep saying it again. I feel like I'm the insane one. I have to, watch grown ass men who have like real time careers, who make, salary, been to, college, um, they they have, I mean, some of these people actually have cleaning ladies, like cleaning people that come to their house to clean once a week. Like they have that, like they have that kind of house set up. And at the same time, they're excited about possibly Amazon is shipping them a plastic lightsaber coming to their door next week. I mean, whew, it, yeah, it really feels like in that sense, if I was outside of myself, if I'm like in Mexico, in a village somewhere, like, Pueblo or something. This guy I worked with, he was from out there, outside of Mexico City, a hardworking guy. And, I loved talking to that guy was more funny to me or just interesting to me, than some of the people of my own age. And he's like about 10 years, maybe older. I don't know how old the guy was, 60s, 50s. I don't know. But like, um, he was telling me, about like, we enjoyed himself, and like, he made fun of me for liking margaritas. And I was like, oh, yeah, I went to this one place called Papitas on Cedar Hills Boulevard. Have you ever been there? He's like, oh, yeah, they got great Mexican food there, I think. He's like, oh, yeah, do you like, no, I only make it at home. Home is the best. You can't beat home. Like, oh, wow, this again. I told him, like, yeah, well, they have these, like, really big strawberry margaritas over there. They're great. And he just started laughing at me. I'm like, well, what's so funny? He's like, yeah, that's a girl's drink. And I just started like, oh, really? I'm like, eh. You got me. I can't argue with that. But like, um, yeah, more of an interesting. I'd rather hang out with that side of things going on, here on planet Earth instead of a galaxy far, far away. Make believe horseshit. But yeah, it's really. I mean, I don't even know if they have Comic Cons anymore. But when I saw that online or whatever, people excited, it should be for children. I'm seeing guys in their mid 20s, and it's just like, do you not understand how this works? I mean, is it that bad? Your home life and shit like that. Is it? I don't know. I think it's probably the end. I think it's like the Roman Empire before it all. So I just keep going back to that because there's so many parallels um, between that republic and the republic of today, and even with the the whole woke culture or whatever. I don't really like talking about politics that much, but I mean, seriously, there's a lot of lifestyles you see back then. It's like, it's all been done before, guys. That's really what it is. But when you see mostly white people, let's be honest, most people that complain about this are white. Um, it's like over here in Portland during the riots. You had a lot of like even when they had masks on, you see like, their hands and between the slit, you see their eyes when they're coming to their face. They're white people. It's like, yeah, but it's like just this, and it's just something to do. They don't have no, they don't give a shit. It's like sanctimonious horse shit that they just, keep piling on um, because they're bored. They were bored that summer anyways. But I mean, yeah, I look at these guys like, my child is going to be like, they picked on him because he wore a dress to school. Like, no, they didn't. You're making this up. Nobody gives a shit. You're so bored. I mean, I look at the fucking Taliban. 20 years we were over there in a faraway land over in Kabul, and just it's not been that long since we left, and just to think about the heartache of so many men and women we lost over there, and then to like focus on now. um it's like it's all for nothing. It's all. I look at some of the lifestyle. Maybe the Taliban was right to hate us. I look at some of this shit with the when you see the average person on a TikTok account and just the nothingness. I'm a fat activist, and I'm really tired of fat shame. I'm like, oh my god, just hey guys, less trips to the refrigerator. It's not that. It can't be that hard. Um, I say that as somebody who's struggling with weight myself, but here's the difference. I know better. That's the difference. Like, I know I'm not gonna like justify it, like, well, I could still not have heart problems and physical, illnesses, disabilities, and still have my, my 3 scoops of, chocolate chip cookie dough. No, it's not. Yeah, there's nothing good about that, and it becomes everybody's got a lifestyle now. Everybody's got something to fight for. This nothing bullshit, But that's yeah. How you could yeah. But if I say anything, God forbid, I'm the asshole.
Party time. Party time.